The Cats will get their second opportunity since John Calipari's departure. And can the Cats pull through and show some effort to get a big win on the road against Arkansas? Well, we're going to break it all down here on episode 121 of the Big Blue Breakdown.
The Big Blue Breakdown, from kickoff to tip-off.
Welcome to the Big Blue Breakdown, where we cover Kentucky football and basketball. I'm Jackson Thurman, and I appreciate you guys listening to episode 121 here on the podcast. And if you guys enjoy the show, help us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts by liking, subbing, and go check us out on social media at BigBlue_BDown on TikTok, X, and Instagram. So in today's show, obviously going to be previewing Kentucky's matchup against John Calipari and the Arkansas Razorbacks. The Cats' second go-around against John Calipari, obviously taking a bad loss last year to a team that was really struggling at that time in Arkansas, and Kentucky was pretty hot. It kind of reminds me of this matchup in this one, but obviously in today's episode, we're going to give you the keys to a win here for the Cats, and can the Cats even steal one from Cal? Man, it'd be sweet to do that, but before we jump into today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, W Energy. If you're looking for clean energy with no sugar and no crash, W is the way to go. Helps me stay locked in for these game days, late nights, and all these breakdowns. If you want to try it out, make sure to use my code BIGBLUE10. Make sure to use BIGBLUE10 at checkout for 10% off. Again, that is Big Blue 10. Great stuff over at W. Make sure to go get you some and then get a 10% discount when you use my code. So, jumping in today's matchup against Arkansas, as they will face later tonight. I'm sorry for the late recording here, but let's break down Arkansas. Let's break down what they do good. Let's break down what they do bad. Give you their impact players, and then what Bart Torvik has for this one. So Arkansas is currently 16-5 and 6-2 in SEC play. That makes them second in SEC play. I believe they're tied with a couple of other teams. In SEC play, they have beaten Tennessee and currently are on a 3-game winning streak. They blew out Vandy. If that gives you any insight to this team, they blew out Vandy at home, beat them pretty badly, also beat Tennessee pretty badly to start SEC play. On KenPom, so this is their overall numbers here on KenPom. Some pretty solid numbers here. 22nd overall, 6th offense and 55th defense, and then the 25th adjusted tempo. So what does this team like to do? Well, they want to get up and down the floor for sure. They love to push the pace, and they have an amazing guard, which we're going to get to, that really helps them do that. This team is elite offensively. I mean, 6th offense in the country, according to KenPom, is very, very good. They've been solid on defense, but they are not elite on defense at 55th on KenPom, and maybe that is something the Cats can take advantage of, but this team is super, super solid all around, at least according to the numbers. And then if you go watch them, this team is very, very fun to watch, and we're going to get into it, but this team is a typical Cal team. I mean, this team is loaded with talent and surrounded by a very, very elite guard. But what does this team do good? On paper, what does this team do good, and what have we seen with our eyes? This team does not turn the ball over. This team is elite at being very, very good at not giving other teams opportunities to go get points. I mean, they do not turn the ball over at all, and this is very, very similar to Vandy, and that is not a good thing, guys. That is not a good thing for Kentucky in this one, because if Kentucky has even a shot at being in this one, they have to be able to force turnovers. I'm going to get into my keys to a win, but that's got to be one of them. I mean, if you look here, Vanderbilt did not turn the ball over at all going into that game. And one of the things we talked about was, if Kentucky is going to continue, I mean, we're on a 5-game winning streak. We kind of felt good. If Kentucky is going to continue their winning streak, what have they done to get them to that point, and what can they do to continue it? They have to force turnovers, and that's what they were doing to generate offense. But those were against teams that were turnover prone. These 2 games right here, where Vandy you already lost, you weren't able to force turnovers, and when you force, Otega Owe had 2 steals late in that second half against Vandy. You've seen the offense click just a little bit in that aspect once you got those turnovers and get into easy transition points. That's our offense, because our half-court offense is sometimes abysmal to watch. Let's be completely honest. Our half-court offense is very, very stagnant at points, and it gets stuck in ISO ball. Jeff Goodman on Phil at 68 said it very, very well. It's like watching ISO ball, and then the play breaks down and probably ends up in take his hands, and it's usually a bad shot. But when this team is able to get on transition, they are very, very good. But Arkansas will not give you those opportunities. That's why Kentucky has to take them, but that's not a good sign here. They don't turn the ball over, and they are a really solid three-point shooting team. Usually, you don't see this from Cal teams. I mean, you see it sometimes. You see it occasionally. His teams are more downhill, get to the rim, and play off of that, and sometimes hit a couple of threes. I'm not saying he doesn't have good shooting three-point teams at all. You look at that 23-24 team, very, very good three-point shooting team there. But this team this year is elite at shooting the three ball. They rank 15th nationally in three-point volume, shooting around 33s a game, and they make around 9. And then what do they do very well? We've already hit on this. This is a typical Cal team. There are athletes everywhere, and we're going to get into impact players here. We're going to get into 3 of them specifically, but you look at the depth on this team, man. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you talk about DJ Wagner, right? Former 5-star player, played at Kentucky, obviously. And then you have guys like Billy Richmond, absolute athlete that can go make plays above the rim, that is very, very good defensively. And then you look at guys like Nick Pringle, I believe this is the Mississippi State transfer. Really, really good at blocking shots, very, very good length, very athletic. You look at guys like Malik Thomas, who we're going to get into here. Very athletic. Darius Acuff, we talk about a lot. Super, super athletic. Trevin Brazil, athlete. This is a typical Cal team. And what do they have at the helm? Man, they have a very, very good player in Darius Acuff, and they surround him very, very well. What can Kentucky take advantage of in this one? What does Arkansas not do well? Well, they are not great at forcing turnovers they're not great at forcing turnovers. And this is a team that wants to get on transition, but what they do well is once they get those rebounds, we're going to talk about rebounds here in just a second. Once they get those rebounds, they push. Here's the thing. They don't force turnovers, so they don't give themselves extra opportunities. And Kentucky is very, very bad at points. When a team can turn you over pretty easily, it's one of the things that they do, and they turn you over a lot. Kentucky's been terrible at just giving them the ball. They've been very turnover prone against teams that turn you over a lot. Arkansas, they do not force turnovers, which can be a very, very good thing for the Cats, because that is something that has struggled with in these big games where they give the teams extra opportunities. Arkansas does not generate a lot of extra chances via steals or defensive pressure compared with top defensive teams. They rank lower in turnover creation. Second thing here, or the last thing here, and it is mostly all on the defensive end here, but defensive glass and rebounding. Well, their overall rebounding isn't terrible. Arkansas isn't a dominant team on the defensive glass or in securing rebounds compared with elite rebounding teams, especially on offense, second chance end. So I want to specifically talk more about here on the offense, on the defensive rebounding, because Kentucky is going to need second chance opportunities. We talk about how they're super, super stagnant sometimes on the offensive end. They're going to need to create second chance opportunities and easy buckets around the rim or open threes through those offensive rebounds. Arkansas might give you that opportunity. Kentucky has to complete those possessions. If they get the second chance opportunities, they have to pull through and complete those possessions if given the chance. So they don't force turnovers, and they don't rebound well, specifically on the defensive glass. But when they do end up getting a rebound, they push very, very well, and they have a very good offense off of transition. As you see, 25th adjusted tempo. Kentucky has to be able to take advantage of their inability sometimes to not get defensive rebounds, get second chance opportunities, and complete those possessions with points. Let's talk about their impact players here. And they have a ton, but I'm going to mainly go with three here. I'm going to talk about three. They're three big impact players. Number one, possibly the best guard in the country. Definitely up there for the best guard in the country. In Darius Acuff, 20 points per game, 6.5 assists, leads them in scoring, leads them in assists. Then you go to Trevin Brazil, that leads this team in three major statistical categories. In rebounds, and in blocks per game, and also steals. He is leading them in three of the top statistical categories. This guy was not very good last year. He has turned it up this year. I forgot to see what he's like the third leading scorer on this team, I believe, for Arkansas. But man, he has been absolutely amazing this year. I want to see really quickly what he is averaging, but he is leading them in rebounds and block shots a game. And then Darius is leading them in two other categories. Along with, this wasn't obviously added here, Darius is shooting about 41.5% from three a game. So he is leading, Trevin Brazil is leading this team in rebounds with almost 7 a game, steals about 1.5 per game, and then 1.2 blocks per game. He is averaging about 12.5 points per game himself and shooting around 40% from three and around 50% from the field, or almost 55% from the field. And then you go to the next guy that we really, really have to talk about, and this is another guard on this team here that Cal likes to have, and that is Malik Thomas, who is averaging 15 points per game, the second player on the team in leading scoring, and then 40% from three. Been very, very good from three. Is the second best overall three-point shooter on this team. Then we move to their depth, which I'm not going to get into all their players and all the statistical categories, but all these guys can play and be humongous in their role. You start with Malik Ewan. About 10 points per game. Florida State transfer, very, very solid. We talk about a super athlete in Billy Richmond. DJ Wagner, used to be a 5-star player and a very, very good veteran backup. Nick Pringle. And then you also got to throw in there, this is crazy to me, Carter Knox. This team is pretty loaded. They will play around 9 to 10 deep a game, but this team is going to be a lot to handle, and this is a typical Cal team. Bart Torvik here has Arkansas winning 86-77, with the Cats having a 21% chance of winning it. I believe on FanDuel, it is sitting at around 6.5 right now, which I completely get. Okay. Keys to a win. Keys to a win for Kentucky. I mean, I'm going to continue to say this. In every single neutral site or road game this year, Kentucky has been down by double digits. They cannot do that in this game. This team cannot play from behind in this one. Second thing, they have to make 8 to 10 threes in this game if they're going to give themselves an opportunity to win. Last two things here. You got to force turnovers and get out transition and get transition points. That's going to be your offense, and that's what's going to lead to solid half-court offense if you're going to generate any. But they're going to have to do it against a team that doesn't turn the ball over. It's not a turnover and pro team, which is going to suck. And then lastly, you're going to have to slow down Darius Acuff. Now, the matchup on Acuff is going to be very, very important this one. I think it's either going to be Ortega or it's going to be Denzel. I think it's mostly going to be Denzel right there. He's going to have a good game all around. He has to slow down Acuff if the Cats are going to have a shot. And then he's going to have to score himself. Super, super tough matchup for Denzel there. And a guy that's probably not going to play a lot tonight is going to be Jasper, just because that's going to be a mismatch every single time he is on Darius Acuff. But the Cats have to not play from behind in this one, not get down double digits, I would say once. You got to make 8 to 10 threes on this one. You got to force turnovers and get on transition. That's how you're going to start your offense. And you got to somehow, some way, some game plan to slow down Darius Acuff. So Before we continue on today's episode of Big Blue Breakdown, I want to shout out Bluegrass Elite, your go-to brand for Kentucky apparel. Guys, if you want high-quality gear that really represents Big Blue Nation, whether it's for game day, campus, or everyday wear, Bluegrass Elite has you covered. Make sure you check them out and use my code BBB15. Guys, that is BBB15 for 15% off at checkout. That's BBB15 for 15% off at checkout. They are on, you can go to their website, Bluegrass Elite. You can go onto the TikTok shop and find them. Very, very good stuff. Make sure to use the code BBB15 and you'll get 15% off your order. 15% off your order. Okay, last thing here. Talking about my prediction and MVP, and then what does a win look like, or what does a win do for the Cats, or just at least what do we want to see from them? So my prediction is Arkansas 85-76 MVP. If Kentucky ends up getting a win, or I just think in general it's going to have to be Denzel Aberdeen. I think it's just kind of the law of nature here. You're the best player. He's going to have to generate points if this team is going to have a chance. Gotta have to be Denzel Aberdeen. So, what does a win do over John Calipari? Well, this would be a huge, huge tournament resume booster. And as I talked about in the last episode, or previous episodes, I've posted about it too. Find a way to go 1-1 during the stretch. You'd find a way to go 1-1. Be huge. You have won. You would have won 6 out of your last 7. No pun intended there. You won 6 out of your last 7. That'd be big for SEC standings, NCAA tournament resume. All these things would be huge for the Cats. It'd be a momentum builder, but what does that even look like? Like, this team has to give effort consistently. They did not, for 5 games in a row, they gave effort, or for, I want to say more than 5 games. They've been giving effort ever since that Gonzaga loss, it felt like, and then it slacked off in that Vanderbilt game. Slow start, slacked off. Felt like no effort was there. You have to give consistent effort. You got to give consistent care for you to have a chance in this one. And you gotta play probably your best game of the year to get this win here. And if you lose, you just can't get blown out, man. You gotta stop getting blown out. Stop getting blown out. And maybe some fans will take that as a win. But I think only moral victory I see here for Kentucky, and it's Kentucky, so I mean it's really, really hard to have moral victories. I would say you lose by 6 points or less, and you show competitiveness in it's gonna be a very, very tough environment at Bud Walton Arena, and you show very good fight against a very, very good team, and you give Acuff a lot of problems. Obviously, with a win, all those things will be positive. I'm talking about something totally different here. But that's the things. If you lose, you got to show consistent effort, and you got to make this a ball game at the end. Don't put yourself in a hole, guys. Don't put yourself in a hole. I appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 121 here on the Big Blue Breakdown. Make sure to help us out on social media and wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or here on YouTube. Gonna catch you guys after the game with a live stream. Talk about what happened in this one. Hopefully it is one where we still won from Coach Cal in the second go around of meeting Coach Cal. I appreciate you guys tuning in to this one. And as always, go Cats.